Most people think becoming self-sufficient takes years, but the truth is, you can start right now, right where you are. When we first started, we didn't have everything figured out, we just began. It wasn't instant, but once I learned what matters most and focused on the right things, self-sufficiency built quickly. So today, I'm sharing 5 important things to help you live off your land and become more self-sufficient. When people think about becoming self-sufficient, they picture fruit trees, root cellars, and large gardens. But the fastest way is to grow foods that grow fast. You don't need a fancy setup or the perfect raised bed. You can start with some old buckets, nursery pots, or even a small raised bed. Fill it with some good soil, and you're on your way to growing your own groceries. The goal is to grow food quickly. This will build confidence as you learn. Lettuce is one of the easiest wins. It grows quickly. You can start to harvest those outer leaves in as little as 30 days. And as you continue to harvest those outer leaves, the center will continue to grow. This is great for the beginners. It gives you that harvest thrill. Radishes are a crop that almost gives you instant gratification. They're ready from the time that you sow the seed in as little as 3 weeks. You can tuck them in and amongst other plants that take a little bit longer to grow, and you can put them on the edges of the bed. While you're harvesting the radishes, your other crops are still growing, so you have that quick food. Bush beans are another fast grower. They're usually ready to harvest in about 6 weeks. They're compact, easy to grow, and they're nutritious. You can eat them fresh, you can dehydrate them, and you can can them. And when you can them, they'll feed you long past the harvest season. Peas are another favorite fast-growing crop. While they're not as fast as lettuce or radishes, when you put the seeds in the ground, you'll be harvesting peas in as little as 60 days. And I don't know a kid that doesn't love peas. When you grow peas, they also provide nitrogen for the soil. So this improves your soil while growing peas, providing you nourishment. Peas are super easy to preserve by either freezing or freeze drying, and they're excellent to use during the wintertime, thrown into soups or chicken pot pies. Green onions are fairly quick and they're steady producers. They're super easy to grow and you can cook them or eat them fresh. You can also dehydrate them and make an onion powder out of them. Once you learn how to grow green onions, then move into growing bulbing onions. They do take longer, but they're excellent for storing and winter use. Cabbages are easy to grow, and I think they're essential for the homestead. They store well, and they're also a good step into learning how to preserve through fermenting. Fermenting cabbage is excellent for gut health. You can also roast your cabbages, make it into slaw, slice them thin for eating fresh, or you can put them into soups. To build a truly self-sufficient garden, you want to pair your fast-growing crops with your longer-growing crops. These longer-growing crops are generally better for preserving and longer storage. Things like your garlic, your onions, sweet potatoes, dry beans, and even potatoes. These are going to fill your pantry and feed you all winter long. The key is to layer your garden. Those fast-growing crops are going to feed you now, and those slower-growing crops are going to sustain you throughout the season. You can grow those fast-growing crops right alongside those slow-growing crops. As an example, plant lettuce alongside your cabbages, radishes alongside your tomatoes. By the time that these fast-growing crops have been harvested, and those longer-growing crops are going to fill in that space. Even if you only have a few containers on your patio or your balcony, you'll be eating food in no time. And once you taste that food that you've homegrown, you'll be addicted to becoming more self-sufficient. Speaking of saving money and making life a little easier, one thing that's been a big help for our family is an electric bike from Hovsco. My daughter uses it almost every day. It's made from lightweight, corrosion-resistant aluminum, so it's strong, smooth, and easy to handle, even with a full load. It can carry up to 450 pounds, which makes it perfect for hauling produce or giving the kids a ride when they're helping around the homestead. Most mornings, she rides it over with baskets of fresh vegetables for our farm stand and brings food for the pig that they keep here on our little homestead. It's a simple way to get things done without ever starting a car. Quiet, efficient, and surprisingly fun. The low step-through frame makes it easy to hop on and off. And with the large front basket and sturdy back seat, there's plenty of room for everything she needs. The pedal assist motor gives a smooth boost on hills, and the long-lasting battery can go up to 60 miles before needing a charge. The removable battery makes charging simple, and the suspension keeps the ride comfortable, even on our uneven paths. And even when there's more to haul, the Porto Max scooter steps in perfectly. It folds in one step, fits easily into the vehicle, and the removable basket makes errands or small loads a breeze. With its strong motor, smooth ride, and automatic headlight, it's great for everyday use. What I love about the scooter and the e-bike is it fits right into the way that we live, saving money, relying less on fuel, and doing more for ourselves. It's efficient, dependable, and it allows us to handle our daily routines without using the truck for every little trip. And because it's electric, it's incredibly low maintenance. Just charge it up, hop on, and go. If you're looking for an easy, family-friendly way to get around and save on gas, check out Hovsco. I'll link the details below. If you want to become self-sufficient with animals, poultry is one of the fastest ways to start. Chickens, ducks, and quail are an excellent way to provide your table with a good source of protein. They don't require a lot of equipment or room. They're the perfect beginner's livestock because they teach you animal care without a lot of overwhelm. They only take a little space, a small coop, and some daily care, which only takes a few minutes a day. You'll start to see a return fairly soon depending on the stage or the age of the bird that you choose. With chickens, if you start with chicks, then you'll start to gather eggs in about 5 to 6 months. If you start with pullets, which are 6 weeks old, then it'll only be a few months before you're gathering eggs. Or you can start with a laying hen, and then you'll have eggs immediately. Chickens give you so much in return. They'll turn your kitchen scraps and weeds into fertilizer. When you let them out, they'll kind of rototiller the soil, loosening it up and fertilizing while they're going. When you gather their manure and turn it into compost, this enriches the soil, making your garden more sustainable. Their eggs provide a high-quality protein, which is what every self-sufficient homestead needs. Compared to large livestock like goats or cows, they're far easier to raise, they require less time, and they're much more efficient. You don't need large pastures or expensive fencing, and the cost of feed is fairly reasonable, especially when you supplement them with greens from the garden and kitchen scraps. If you're just starting out, start with only hens. You don't need a rooster for your chickens to lay eggs, and your mornings are going to be a lot more peaceful. Once you're comfortable with raising chickens, you can expand to ducks and quails. Ducks are excellent layers, just as good as chickens, and their eggs are excellent for baking, and some people prefer the taste of duck eggs. If you have little space or tight space, quail might be the perfect option for you because they require so much less space and they're far quieter than ducks or chickens are, and they'll start to lay in about 6 weeks. Whether you choose chickens, ducks, or quail, you're moving towards self-sufficiency, providing nourishment, building your soil, and adding life to your homestead. Learning some building skills, even the very basics, is extremely important for homesteading. You don't have to be a carpenter to homestead, trust me. When we built our first chicken coop, it was very basic. It just had a simple slat roof. It was built out of particle board. It wasn't beautiful, but it was functional. That first chicken coop was what we could afford at the time, but what it did do was teach us skills, and it also taught us what we could improve on if we were ever to build again like we did. The chicken coop that we have now definitely has more bells and whistles than our first one, but we were still thrifty and we built it out of all reclaimed materials. Even simple things like a raised bed is going to require some sort of a skill. And that's okay because you can build on that over time. When we first put in all of our fencing on the homestead, it was just a simple utility fencing with T-posts. We learned what we liked and we learned that we needed to save money to upgrade in the future. Like our goat pen, when we first started out, it was just cattle panels and T-posts. Those T-posts rotted out over time and we needed to upgrade. But the good thing is we learned what we needed to do to improve for it to last longer. So now we have a steel rail fencing along with some posts that are sunk into the ground, and that's going to last us a lifetime. Homesteading isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every project that you take on, whether it's a raised bed, repairing a greenhouse, fencing, or a chicken coop, it all teaches you something. You learn what works and what doesn't, and how to make it better the next time. And that's exactly how it should be. Yes, you're saving money, but you're also learning how to do it yourself. That's powerful, and that's freedom. As Kevin always says, he can screw it up just as good as the guy that he paid. When you build it yourself, you know how it works, and you'll know how to repair it. When something needs changing, you can adapt. You're in total control of your own systems. It also teaches you resourcefulness. By using recycled materials like old pallets or old fencing, not only saves you money, but it also uses materials that otherwise would be thrown away. Every nail you drive, every post you set, every imperfection will build those homesteading skills. One day, you might be able to pass that knowledge on, whether it be your kids, your grandkids, or anybody that wants to learn. Homesteading isn't just about gardening or raising animals. It's about building a life of independence. So don't wait for the perfect. Start with what you have. Do what you can and know that it's okay to improve along the way. Part of homesteading is learning how to cook what you grow. There's really no reason to grow a garden if you don't know how to cook what you do grow. The kitchen is where homesteading truly begins. Before you build any raised beds or bring any animals home, learning how to cook from scratch is extremely valuable, and that's something that you can start right now. It's the foundation of self-sufficiency, feeding your family from simple, wholesome ingredients. You don't need a big garden or livestock to start. Just a few simple ingredients and the desire to learn. Start with the basics. Learn how to make your own bread. Make some homemade tortillas. Or maybe even do a simple batch of yogurt or learn how to make pasta. These are simple steps, but they change everything. They reconnect you to your food, and they help you understand how that food was created. Once you get comfortable cooking from scratch, you'll start to look at your food differently. You'll start to cook seasonally, and then you'll understand what you really want to be growing. Your garden starts to reflect your kitchen, and this is how the homestead rhythm takes shape. The kitchen skills don't require a farm, they just require a mindset. This is the first step to independence. It's practical and deeply rewarding. When you pull out that loaf of bread from the oven or prepare that meal from scratch, you'll understand what self-sufficiency really feels like. Homesteading isn't just about growing your own food. It's about knowing what to do with it once you have it in your hands. And that journey, it starts in the kitchen. Preserving what you grow is one of the most important parts of homesteading, in my opinion, and it doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to start out canning or pressure cooking right off the bat. What you can do is just start with the easy things like freezing and drying. One of the easiest and best ways to start preserving food is by freezing them. Just a simple blanch and putting it in the freezer will give you food all winter long. Things like peas and beans and peppers are all great when they're stored in the freezer. Herbs are one of the simplest things to preserve. All you gotta do is bundle them up and hang them upside down in a warm place out of direct sunlight. Once they're dry, then you can crumble them up and put them in a jar for winter use. Fruits and tomatoes can be dried just on a simple old screen until they're dry, and then you can store them away in bags or even in jars. The most important thing is just to start. Start preserving something, even if it's just one thing every year that you add to your skill set. And by doing this, you're going to be building your pantry, your knowledge, and the desire to do more. As you start to gain confidence with these simple preserving skills, then you can start to explore other preserving methods like your canning, pressure cooking, and freeze drying. Preserving is essential for the homestead because it carries you through the winter months and fills your pantry with foods that you grew. So start now, preserve what you can, however you can, to build those skills. Each little step, each little skill that you learn is a step towards self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency isn't about doing everything, but it's about doing something. Whether it's planting a few seeds, raising a few hens, or baking your own bread, it all adds up. Have a great day, a better tomorrow, and may God bless you in all your steps in self-sufficiency.